Hi, this is Jonathan Rosenhead, Jerusalem psychotherapist. This week's Torah and Psychology post with Pasha's Sisa is titled Symbolic Substitutes. In this week's Pasha, we read about the infamous event of the Egel HaZahav, the golden calf, where the Bnei Israel see that Moshe Rabbeinu seemingly is delayed in coming down from Har Sinai, and they think that he's not coming back. And in response to this, they decide to make the Egel HaZahav. And we can ask many questions about this event. But the obvious one to ask, first of all, is why? Why did the Bnei Israel feel a need to create the Egel HaZahav? And the Netziv explains that the Bnei Israel had become accustomed to relying on Moshe Rabbeinu. They depended on his guidance and his leadership and his support. And now that they were left alone, they didn't have the confidence or the self-belief to feel that they could continue by themselves, that they could manage by themselves. And therefore, in order to satisfy this need, this psychological need for support and guidance and confidence, they needed to find a substitute, a symbolic substitute. And this is what the Egel HaZahav provided. It provided them with this confidence that they were able to manage, that they could continue. And when we look at symbolic substitutes, from a psychological perspective, it's explained as something that a person needs, but is difficult to attain. And therefore, because it's important to them, it's important for their well-being, and they are not able to achieve it or to obtain it, they find a close approximation, something that can satisfy this need. But it's only symbolic, and it's only a substitute, and therefore, it doesn't really satisfy this need. It's this desire to search for a symbolic substitute is born out of a belief that we are incomplete, that a person is incomplete, and that they're only able to find something to complete them from outside of themselves. It's an external source rather than an internal source. And therefore they're searching for something outside of them to provide this psychological need to feel complete and to satisfy this need for their well-being. So for an example, somebody who feels that they need power and confidence might look for possessions and wealth as a symbolic substitute, or someone that is looking for love and meaning in their life, they might use food as a symbolic substitute. So we can see how symbolic substitutes are actually a maladaptive response to a psychological need. And a person really, this process of looking for a symbolic substitute exposes and reveals the real, authentic, internal desire and need and psychological need of the person, that they need to feel strong, they need love and meaning in their life, but they're looking for it in the wrong way. So when we look at the Bnei Israel, this symbolic substitute of the Egel HaZahav was a means to satisfy this psychological need for self-belief, for confidence, for guidance and support that Moshe Rabbeinu provided. But we learn and we're told that the sin of the golden calf, the sin of the Egel HaZahav, is something that perpetuates till this very day. Every tragedy that we experience, every hardship that we experience, part of it is related and part of it is associated with the sin of the golden calf. So if we look at our lives nowadays, today, and we can see perhaps that the sin of the Egel HaZahav was the sin in a way, or the need for a symbolic substitute. If we look at our life, and we can try to stop and acknowledge and recognize the symbolic substitutes that we have in our life, and through this we should try to acknowledge the authentic the real psychological needs that we have, the internal needs, and try to search for the solution within ourselves rather than looking for external symbolic substitutes. And through this we can try to satisfy our need in a authentic and genuine way. Have a great Shabbos and keep well.